£20,000 gone. That is what Isaac Newton lost on a single stock in 1720. Millions in today's money, and a huge portion of everything he owned. The man who calculated gravity was ruined by a company that sold almost nothing and earned almost nothing. And here is the part nobody tells you. Newton got out in time. He bought early, he sold at a profit, he walked away safe, and then he bought back in at the top. This is how the smartest man alive talked himself into ruin. This is the story of the South Sea Bubble, the world's very first great stock market mania. And here's what almost everyone gets wrong about it. We remember it as a quaint old folly, powdered wigs, and silly mistakes from a distant century. But look closely at the machinery, and you realize something chilling. The South Sea Bubble is the complete playbook for every scam, every crash, and every craze that has come since. Nothing about it is old. It begins in 1711. England is drowning in debt from years of war. The government owes staggering sums it cannot repay. So a clever solution is invented. A new company, the South Sea Company. In exchange for taking on a huge slice of the national debt, it is granted something that sounds magical: a monopoly on trade with the rich Spanish colonies of South America. There was just one small problem. The trade was almost completely worthless. Spain controlled those ports and allowed only a tiny trickle of business. A single ship or two a year, if that. The South Sea Company barely traded anything at all. Its warehouses stayed empty. Its real product was never gold or silver. Its real product was a story, and the story was intoxicating. Because the company's true business was financial alchemy. It would convince the people who were owed money by the government to trade that boring, safe debt for exciting shares in the South Sea Company instead. And the whole scheme depended on one thing, and one thing only. The share price had to keep going up. As long as it rose, everyone was happy. It was a machine that ran on belief. And they weren't inventing this. Across the channel, a Scottish gambler named John Law was running the same trick on France, and it was working. London wasn't leading. London was copying. In 1720, the company went for the ultimate prize, a plan to take over most of the entire national debt of England. It was breathtakingly ambitious. But to pull it off, the share price didn't just need to rise. It needed to explode. So the directors did what every great scheme has done ever since. They went to work on the human mind, and they had 4 moves. Weapon 1, the story. Promoters flooded the coffee houses of London with dazzling tales of South American riches. Mountains of silver, endless gold, unimaginable profits just over the horizon. None of it was real. It didn't matter. Facts have never sold a bubble. The dream does. And the dream spread through London like fire through dry timber. Weapon 2, corruption. The company quietly handed out shares, for free, on paper, to the most powerful people in the kingdom. Politicians, royal courtiers, even mistresses of the king. Now, the men who were supposed to regulate this madness were personally getting rich from it. They didn't just allow the bubble. They defended it, protected it, and pumped it. The referees were on the take. Weapon 3, easy credit. The company let ordinary people buy shares with only a small payment down, and the rest owed later. Suddenly, you didn't need to be rich to gamble. Servants, shopkeepers, widows, they borrowed, they mortgaged, they threw in everything they had because the price only ever seemed to go up. If that sounds familiar, it should. We call it buying on margin, and it has fueled every mania since. And it worked beyond anyone's wildest dreams. In January 1720, a single share cost around £128. By spring, it was rocketing upward 200, 300, 500. All of London was drunk on it. Dukes and dustmen, ladies and lords, everyone was buying, everyone was getting rich on paper, and everyone was certain it would never stop. The madness became contagious. Copycat companies, people literally called them bubbles, sprang up by the hundreds. And one became legendary, a man who launched a company, in his words, for carrying on an undertaking of great advantage, but nobody to know what it is, then vanished with the money by afternoon. But here's the thing. That story is repeated in every book about bubbles. Its only real source is a writer working 120 years later. And the reason it survives isn't that it's verified. It's that it describes the madness with a precision every historian wishes were true. Master of the Royal Mint. Newton didn't just study money. He ran England's money. He personally set the value of the pound, hunted counterfeiters through the streets of London, and sent them to the gallows. Nobody alive understood currency better. He bought South Sea shares early. He sold. He was 7,000 pounds ahead. He had done the wise thing. The story should end there. It doesn't. Because after Newton sold, the price kept climbing. Higher and higher and higher. And now he had to watch. He watched friends grow richer. He watched acquaintances, men far less brilliant than him, brag about fortunes he had left on the table. And this is the trap that catches everyone, from a 1720s genius to a modern-day trader. It is not stupidity. It is the unbearable agony of watching other people get rich without you. And so Isaac Newton, the man who could calculate the motion of the heavens, did the most human thing imaginable. He broke. He bought back in near the very top, and not cautiously. He poured in several times what he had invested the first time, a huge portion of everything he owned. The greatest rational mind in history had surrendered completely to the madness of the crowd. By the summer of 1720, a single share touched around 1,000 pounds, nearly 8 times where it began the year. The South Sea Company was now valued at more than all the coin and gold in England could possibly justify. Nothing held it up but pure collective belief. And belief, unlike gravity, is not a law of nature. It can vanish in an instant. Then the belief cracked. The insiders, the directors who knew the truth, began quietly selling at the top. The flood of ridiculous copycat companies started collapsing first, shaking confidence. And once the first doubt crept in, it spread faster than any dream ever had. The question changed overnight from how high can it go to how do I get out? The collapse was merciless. From around 1,000 pounds, the share price crashed back toward 100 in a matter of months. Paper fortunes evaporated. Noblemen were ruined. Merchants were bankrupted. Families who had mortgaged everything were left with nothing but debt. The bubble that had lifted all of London now dragged it into the mud. And Isaac Newton? He lost around 20,000 pounds, the equivalent of millions today, a huge portion of his wealth, wiped out at the peak he had bought into. It is said that for the rest of his life, he could not bear to hear the words South Sea spoken in his presence. And history left him one of the most haunting lines ever attributed to a man of science. I can calculate the motion of the heavenly bodies, but not the madness of men. The aftermath was explosive. Public fury demanded answers. An investigation tore open the company's books and revealed the rot, the bribes, the free shares handed to ministers, the corruption at the highest levels of government. Some directors were jailed and their fortunes seized. And out of the wreckage rose a shrewd politician named Robert Walpole, who managed the crisis so skillfully that he became, in effect, Britain's first prime minister. So here's what most people miss about the South Sea bubble. It is not a dusty tale of foolish ancestors. Strip away the wigs and the sailing ships and look at the mechanics. A worthless business wrapped in a thrilling story. Insiders enriched in secret. The public buying on borrowed money. Copycats multiplying like weeds. And the smartest people on earth fooled, not by stupidity, but by the sight of others getting rich. That is not a history lesson. That is a mirror. Because the same playbook has run, beat for beat, ever since. The railway mania of the 1840s. The roaring stock market before the crash of 1929. The dot-com bubble. The housing madness of 2008. Crypto. Meme stock. Every single time, the same 4 moves. An irresistible story, insiders cashing in, the crowd buying on credit, and a wave of copycats. Only the names of the companies ever change. And that is the real lesson Isaac Newton paid millions to learn. A bubble is not a failure of intelligence. He proved that forever. It is a failure of nerve. The simple human inability to sit still and watch other people get rich. The mathematics of a mania never changes. The greed doesn't age. And somewhere out there right now, the next South Sea Company is already telling its beautiful, worthless story, and the crowd is already starting to believe. If this file gripped you, that is exactly what this channel is. The Greed Files, true stories of the greatest fortunes ever made, faked, and destroyed, told with the real numbers behind them. Next time, the woman who built a $9 billion company on a machine that never actually worked, and the patients who paid the price. Subscribe and keep reading the files with us.